So first main article is based on this news article. First mains discussion is based on this news article which appeared on page number 14. As this article title is Rajya Sabha passes bill for appointment of CEC and Election Commission. So context is same. Rajya Sabha passed Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners appointment, condition of service and term of office bill which will guide the appointment of election commissioner and election commissioners. Okay, so this bill revolves around appointment, condition of service and term of office. Now, why this is in news? Because recently Rajya Sabha passed the bill. Also, opposition is raising concern with respect to the different provisions of this bill. That we'll see in later part of our video. And government is saying that all the provisions in the bill are well inclined on the directives set by the Supreme Court. So there's nothing to worry. So this is the basic concern with respect to this bill. And why we have taken this in our mains discussion? Because as you know, Election Commission is constitutional body under Article 324, correct? And it vested with the power to conduct election with respect to Parliament, correct? State legislatures. Then what next? Office of President and Vice President. So if there's question that Election Commission deals only with the election of Parliament and state legislature, then that statement is incorrect because it deals with election with respect to Parliament, state legislature, Office of President and Vice President. Okay. Also, as this is a constitutional body, there is a theme mentioned in GS paper 2 that appointment to various constitutional posts, power, functions and responsibilities of various constitutional bodies. So it's quite important as you if you see your syllabus. Also, it is one of the recurring theme because UPSC has been asking questions based on different aspects related to Election Commission. Like in year 2017, there was a question to enhance the quality of democracy in India. Election Commission of India has proposed electoral reforms in 2016 and here you are supposed to provide suggested reforms and how far are they significant to make democracy successful. Then in year 2018 there was a question which talks about electronic voting machine EVM and here you are supposed to write down the challenges before Election Commission of India to ensure trustworthiness of election in India. Okay. So with this you can make that this theme is quite important. So in this discussion what we'll see? Why there is need for such bill. Okay. Then what are the key provisions of this current bill? Then we'll see few arguments in favor and arguments against and we'll end our discussion with a way forward. So let's start. Before moving on to the different provisions of bill or why we need bill, first you should know basic about Election Commission. So which article talk about Election Commission? Article 324. This is a constitutional text. So clause 1 talks about electoral rolls for and conduct of all elections to Parliament, as just now we have discussed, legislature of every state, election to the office of President and Vice President. So this is clause 1 under Article 324. Next important clause is, very important clause, is clause 2, which says that Election Commission shall consist of the Chief Election Commissioner and such members of other election commissioners, if any, as President. Mark these words carefully. President may from time to time fix and the appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners shall subject to the provision of any law made in that behalf by whom? By Parliament be made by the president. Okay. So in short, clause 2 talks about that provisions with respect to terms of service, conditions. This is prerogative of Parliament. Parliament should make law on service, tenure of CEC and election commissioner. Okay. Now come to the another important clause, that is clause 5, which says that chief election commissioner shall not be removed from his office except in like manner or on the like grounds as judge of Supreme Court. And the condition of services of the election commissioner shall not be varied due to its disadvantage after his appointment. So basically, there's a tenure security of chief election commissioner. If you consider clause 5 of article 324, because only chief election commissioner can be removed on the same ground or same manner as provided for the judge of the Supreme Court. But other election commissioners, they will be removed on the recommendation of chief election commissioner. So security of tenure lies only for chief election commissioner, not for the election commissioners. Got it? Now why I ask you to go through this constitutional text, because now only you will able to understand that why government was forced to bring new bill. Got it? So why government bought bill? Because there were issues pertaining to appointment of chief election commissioner and election commissioners. The first is absence of law. Now how it is an issue? See, just now we have seen under clause 2 of article 324 that it is the domain of Parliament to frame law with respect to security or tenure of service of chief election commissioner and election commissioner. Okay. And irony is that till now, or you can say there is no such law being made by the Parliament till now. So now there is no such law. That means there is a vacuum. And if there is a vacuum, it will give power, or you can say discretion, to executive to make appointment to the crucial positions like CEC, chief election commissioner and election commissioners. Okay, which is a major concern. So absence of law. Second is lack of security of tenure to EC. Now here I have mentioned EC and not CEC. Just now we have discussed that there is security of tenure of chief election commissioner. Why? But because it can be removed or on the same ground, on same manner as of judge of Supreme Court. Just now we have read in clause 5 of article 324, but it's not with the case with election commissioner. They can be removed on the recommendation of chief election commissioner. So they are on the whims and fancies of chief election commissioner. So there's a lack of security to election commissioners. Got it? Third issue is lack of qualification criteria. See, in entire text, there is no clause which talks about the qualification criteria of chief election commissioner or election commissioner. There is nothing with respect to their legal, their educational qualification. There is nothing about their qualification criteria. Now, if there is no qualification criteria, definitely it will give a leeway to executive. They can make the appointment. Now, there is no concrete ground. They can make anyone election commissioner because there is no set qualification criteria for CEC and EC. Okay. So lack of qualification criteria is another major concern. Then post-retirement appointment. Now, Constitution is not debarred retiring CC or election commissioner to get the job under government. There is no bar like that. Now, when there is no bar, You just imagine that any election commissioner or chief election commissioner favoring the ruling party. Definitely there's a scope of favoritism. And how ruling party will reward this favoritism? By providing key position in the government. Got it? So it is a roadblock if you consider in the chapter of independence of election commissioner or election commission as a body. So post retirement appointment is a challenge. Got it? Next is no demarcation of power between CEC and EC. There's no demarcated section that this work controlled by CEC and this work controlled by election commissioner. So what will happen if there is no clear demarcation? It will hinder the functioning of election commission. It is so obvious. Why? Because it will give a ground for conflict. Because there will be different opinion. Tussle will be there. So there's no demarcation of power between CEC and EC, which is another major concern if you see with respect to appointment of CEC and election commissioners. Absence of law, lack of security of tenure, lack of qualification criteria, post-retirement appointment, and no demarcation of power. These are the different problems. To rectify these problems or to come up with a solution, recently government came up with a bill. But before that, Supreme Court came with a directive, because Supreme Court told that, see, there is a tension between government and judiciary because of these different aspects. So let's solve this. Let me articulate one directive. Supreme Court said, let me come up with a directive. In that directive, they provided selection committee, which composed of Prime Minister as the chairperson, then leader of opposition, then CJI. These are the three members of that selection committee. Okay. And in that directive, Supreme Court provided that time, or they put a request in front of government that you should come up with a bill. Till then, this committee will function, or this committee will appoint CEC or recommend. This committee will recommend CEC and election commissioners. Okay. Now, after Supreme Court directive, government became super active and they came up with the new bill. So now let's see what are the important provisions of this bill. First is, CEC and other election commissioners will be appointed by the president. Okay, on the recommendation of a selection committee. So they adopted selection committee from the Supreme Court directive, but now you will see the change. It includes Prime Minister as the chairperson, same. Leader of opposition in the House of People in the Lok Sabha, same. But here is a twist. A union cabinet minister to be nominated by the Prime Minister as a member. So earlier, under Supreme Court directive, it was third members, CJI, Chief Justice of India. And now, under government, it is a union cabinet minister. So union cabinet minister is the third member. So definitely, this committee is swinging more towards executive side, obviously. And they've taken away judiciary from this loop, which is again a cause of concern. Okay. Then next, it provided for a search committee. This was selection committee. And now we are talking about search committee. So search committee headed by cabinet secretary to find a panel of 5 to be appointed as CEC and other ECs. But the term cabinet secretary has been replaced with Minister of Law and Justice. This is after opposition. Okay. Earlier, they quoted cabinet secretary as a third member. Well, you can see this search committee headed by cabinet secretary. Now, this bill provides eligibility criteria. As I told you, there was no qualification criteria for CEC and EC, but now in this bill, it provides eligibility criteria which says that such persons must have expertise in managing and conducting elections. Also, the person must be holding or have held a post equivalent to the rank of secretary to the government of India. So, this is the qualification criteria. Earlier, there was no such criteria. Now, bill provided that salary, allowance, and services condition of the CC and election commissions will be same as that of cabinet secretary. Earlier, the government stand was this only, but after lot of opposition, it retained parity with Supreme Court judges after stiff criticism. Got it? Then next provision is that CEC and other EC will not be eligible for reappointment. Got it? So these are the important provisions of the new bill. Now, what are the issues and how this new bill is a solution to some of the problems? So arguments in favor. We'll discuss both the aspects now. Problem is independence. Now, just now we have seen that selection committee is more drifted towards executive side. Why? Because Prime Minister, leader of opposition, and cabinet minister. It's more towards executive side, and they've taken away judiciary from the loop. Definitely, it will raise a concern with respect to the selection process. Also, its ability to be impartial while selecting the CEC and EC. So, independence is one of the issue. Second is constitutional question. See, if we see under Article 324 Clause 5, terms of service, basically appointed by whom? President, removed by President. So all these important provisions should be altered by constitutional amendment and not by the ordinary legislation. So there is a question of constitutional question because of that. That important provisions which deals with independency of election commission should be altered by constitutional amendment and not by the ordinary legislation. Got it? And this will constitutional safeguard election commission also, because it is very important for our democracy, because it ensures free and fair elections. So these are the two key issues which we see with respect to the new bill. So what are the, now having seen the issue, why government is supporting this bill? Because there are some arguments in favor of this bill. Okay, so let's see those arguments one by one. The first is, it is in line with the judgment. Now, Supreme Court only asks center to formulate the law, and it is the domain of Parliament to make such law with respect to tenure and service condition of CEC and EC. So nothing wrong in that. And this bill is well aligned, if you see, in line with the judgment provided by the Supreme Court of India. Okay. Second, provide for qualification. Earlier, as I told you, there was no such qualification criteria, but this new bill talks about that person must have expertise in managing and conducting election, and also person must be holding or have held a post equivalent to the rank of secretary to the government of India. So they've taken away that discretion of executive from the selection process. They made it more objective now, because it is based on selection or qualification criteria. Got it? So it provides for qualification. This will ensure transparency as well. Now, second is Constitution of Search and Selection Committee. Now, by constituting Search and Selection Committee, this will streamline the selection process of CEC and EC. Now it is more objective, more transparent. It taken away that discretion or whims and fancies of executive while selecting CEC and ECs. And you know about search committee composition and selection committee composition. Then clarity about reappointment. With this bill, government barred CEC and ECs for further employment. So how it will help? It will help the curtailing nepotism, favoritism, because now they barred CEC or election commissions getting further employment under government. So clarity about reappointment is there in this new bill. So these are the arguments in favor. First, it is well aligned with the Supreme Court directive. Second, it provides qualification criteria. Third, it provides search and selection committee composition, which will enhance objectivity and transparency with respect to the process. Third, clarity about reappointment. Now it depars. Got it? So these are the arguments against and favor. Now, appointment is one of the issues faced by Election Commission. But to strengthen this organ, to strengthen this body, we need 360-degree reforms. And what are those reforms? Clear power division. Just now I told you that because of lack of clear power division, there is a rift between CEC and ECs, which hamper the functioning of Election Commission, obviously. So, what is the ideal thing? To have clear defined roles and responsibilities of Chief Election Commissioner and other commissioners to prevent conflicts. Okay, this is the first way out. Second is transparent selection. Just now we have seen that they taken away judiciary from the selection committee and it is more oriented towards executive, which is again discretion of the government. So ideal is to form a diverse selection committee including judiciary and civil society to assess candidates fairly. Okay. Then third is to enhance independence. How to do that? By amending the constitution to grant election commissioner greater autonomy from government influence, to bring election commission out of the clutches of government. So we need to empower election commission. We need to amend constitution. Okay. Then capacity building. Invest in regular training for commissioners and staff to improve their understanding of electoral process and technologies. Upcoming challenges with respect to technology, for that we need better training, regular training for commissioners and staff. This will enhance capacity building. Last but not the least, ongoing review. Periodically review of commission's functioning to address emerging challenges and maintain electoral integrity. And what are those emerging challenges? Challenges with respect to vote for cash, challenges with respect to evolving model code of conduct, challenges with respect to paid news. So these are the emerging challenges, and we need periodic review of commission to better understand these challenges, to come out with a solution. Okay, so these are the few ways. So by doing so, or by bringing such reform, what we are doing, we are bolstering the condition of election commission to make it more credible, to make it more impartial, to make it more transparent. So by coming up with this solution, we are adding base to election commission so that it work as a strong foundation for our democracy. Okay. If you have any doubt with respect to this topic, you can post your question. Now, let's come to our second topic, which is our last topic, which is based on this news article. And this news article appeared on page number 10 in the Indian Express. Context is that after recent election in various states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, the parliamentary system of government and appointment of executive has become the matter of discourse. And parliamentary form of government is one in which executive is responsible for its policies and acts. And India is not the only country following this system. Other nations like Britain, Japan, Canada, they are also have parliamentary form of government. Okay. It comes under GS paper 2 syllabus. Now, let's see important constitutional provisions with respect to parliamentary form of government. The first is Article 74, which says that there shall be Council of Ministers with Prime Minister at the head to aid and advise the President, who shall, in the exercise of his function, act accordance with such advice. Okay. So, President can work on the aid and advice provided by the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. Okay. Then Article 75, this provision is related to ministers. Then Article 163, Council of Ministers to aid and advise Governor. 74 deals with aid and advice to President. And Article 163 deals with aid and advice to Governor. Okay. Now, let's quickly see the parliamentary features of parliamentary form of government. First feature is that here President is nominal head. And who is the real head? Yes, Prime Minister. And according to Article 74, Council of Ministers head by Prime Minister should aid and advise President. Got it? This is the first feature. Second, majority party rule. That means party with majority on the floor forms the government. Collective responsibility. That means ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha under Article 75. Okay. The next is political homogeneity of Council of Ministers. That means that Council of Ministers having those ministers which are from the same party following the same ideology. Got it? So there is no rift. Members are from the same party and these members are having same political ideology. Then next is double membership. What is double membership? Ministers are part of legislative as well as executive. Okay. Then next is dissolution of lower house. Dissolution of lower house is based on the recommendation of whom? Yes, Prime Minister. Now the question is dissolved by whom? That we'll see in later part of our video. Then secrecy is another feature. The principle of secrecy is that ministers are subscribed to the oath of secrecy, under which they should not divulge information with respect to proceedings functioning of the parliament. And who administered the oath of secrecy? Write down in the comment box. who administered the oath of secrecy, okay, of ministers. So these are the important features of parliamentary form of government. Now, let's see what are the merits of parliamentary system of government. First is harmony between legislature and executive. Parliamentary system of government is quite important and best because it have a harmonious relationship between two wings, that is legislature and executive. In total there are three wings: legislature, executive and judiciary. And legislature and executive, they have common members and they are interdependent, so there will be less tussle. Less tussle means better cooperation between two wings, that is better harmony. So there is a harmony between legislature and executive under parliamentary form of government. Then responsible government. How it is a responsible government? By its feature, you can say that parliamentary system is a responsible form of government because ministers are accountable to parliament, okay, for their actions, for their decisions. And parliament can also control ministers with the help of various devices like questionnaire. Then next, adjournment motion, discussions, no confidence motion. Okay. With this, parliament can control, can make executive accountable. Okay. Then it prevents despotism. How? Basically, executive authority in parliamentary form of government is not based on, and it is not limited to one individual. It is vested on a group of individuals. So if power is vested on different individuals, definitely it will get dispersed. This is one of the check on executive. It limits executive tyranny or despotism. Okay. And executive is also responsible to parliament. Otherwise, parliament can pass no confidence motion. Okay. So it prevents despotism. Then we have ready alternative government. See, if majority a ruling party lose the majority, then head of the state can invite alternative government or opposition to form the alternative government, and opposition can form the alternative government without any fresh election. Got it? That's how one of the merit of parliamentary system is that it is ready with alternative government, and that is why Dr. Jennings says that the leader of the opposition is the alternative prime minister. Now you know why he said like that. Okay. The next is wide representation. In a parliamentary system, the executive consists of group of individuals, that is ministers, who representatives of the people from different section, from different regions. Okay. So basically, prime minister, while selecting his ministers, can take this factor into consideration. Okay, because it enhances wide representation. So these are the important merits of parliamentary system of government. Let us revise. First, harmony between legislature and executive. Okay. Then it reflects responsible government because ministers are liable to parliament and parliament can control ministers through various devices. Then it prevents despotism. How? Because in parliamentary form of government, executive authority is not limited to one individual. It is dispersed on a group of different individuals. Then ready alternative government. If a ruling party loses majority any time, head of the state can invite At that time, head of the state can invite largest opposition party to form the government without any fresh election. And last, wide representation. Parliamentary form of government composed of executive, which consists of group of individuals, council of ministers, and that represent different section, different regions. So it enhances wider representation. So these are the merits. Now, let's see few demerits of parliamentary system. And first is unstable government. Now, there is no guarantee that a government can survive its tenure. Because there is no guarantee. Members, or you can say ministers, are on the mercy of individual legislators for their continuity, for their survival. There is no fixed tenure. And if you see, we have provisions like no confidence motion, or we have provisions like multiple party coalition. So if multiple party coalition, how, when these provisions are there, how it can ensure sustainability or stability of government. Okay, we have evil practices like defection. So anytime ministers can switch the party. Okay, so it hampers the functioning of government, and that is why instability is one of the major demerit of parliamentary form of government. You can see that in past we have many examples like VP Singh government, IK Gujral government, Devi Gowda government. All these governments collapse because of these same factors, and this is one of the limitation of parliamentary system. Okay, then no continuity of policies. Parliamentary system is not conducive for the formulation and implementation of long term policies. Why? Because there is no set tenure, there is no set deadline of government. So if any ruling party comes, then they will curate their own policies. Ruling party followed the creation of new policies. You take example of 1977 Morarji Desai government. They changed the policies formulated by government, and in 1980s when government came back to the power, they again changed the policies set by Morarji Desai government. That's how it works, and that is why it is said that there is no continuity of policies, and there is no continuity of long term policies, because government will come up with their own agendas, with their own set of ideas, with their own set of policies. So this is second merit of parliamentary system. Then third is dictatorship of cabinet. How? See, ruling party enjoys absolute majority in the parliament. Now if any party enjoy absolute majority in the parliament, definitely cabinet will become autocratic, and they exercise nearly unlimited power. That is why it is said dictatorship of the cabinet. Okay, and that is why H.J. Lesky said that parliamentary system gives the executive an opportunity for tyranny. And same, Ramsay Munizer said the former British Prime Minister also complained of the dictatorship of the cabinet. This is that much issue. And this phenomena was witnessed during the era of Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi. Got it? So, dictatorship of the cabinet is the third demerit of parliamentary form of government. The next is, it is again separation of power. See, executive is dependent on legislature. They are answerable to legislature. So, there is no clear separation between legislature and executive in our parliamentary form of government. Okay. Now, cabinet becomes the leader of executive as well as of legislature because there is no clear demarcation. So cabinet becomes the head of both. And that is why Bigot points out that cabinet is hyphen that joins the buckle that binds the executive and legislative department together. Hence, the whole system goes against the letter and spirit of what? Against the letter and spirit of separation of power. Because there is no clear demarcation of wings. There is no clear demarcation of powers. And that is why what we have is fusion of powers. Got it? We don't have clearly demarcated separation of power. We have fusion of power. Fusion of separation of power. Then next is government by emettors. See, parliamentary system is not conducive to administrative efficiency and ministers are not experts in their field. See, when prime ministers is going to select ministers for council of ministers, for COM, members for council of ministers, is option limited to only members of the parliament? It cannot go to other talent, external talent. It is bound to get the council of ministers from that limited section only. And these ministers are busy with parliamentary proceedings, party work, etc. And they are not expert in their respective field, which is one of the challenge if you talk about administrative efficiency. And that is why parliamentary system is not conducive to administrative efficiency. So these are the important demerits of parliamentary system. Okay. Now, let's quickly solve one MCQ based on given info. Just now we have discussed. You need to provide the answer of this MCQ. Okay. With reference to the parliamentary form of government, consider the following statements. Ministers are collectively responsible to the parliament. Now, ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha or ministers are collectively responsible to parliament? First option, that is to Lok Sabha. So, this makes our first statement incorrect. Then, lower house of the parliament can be dissolved by the prime minister. Is it so? Recommendation can be made by prime minister. But who dissolved Lok Sabha? Lower house of the parliament dissolved by president. This makes our second statement incorrect. Then third is executive and legislature work independently of each other. Just now we discussed that we don't have clear or independent wings of executive and legislature. We have fusion of both. So there's no independent of each other. Again, this statement is incorrect. So all three statements are incorrect. So our answer is D. And answer of this PYQ, which is based on parliamentary democracy, which came in year 2021, its answer is C. So if you have any doubt, please drop your doubts in our YouTube comment box. That's all